Welcome to another Brand Decoded show. And tonight I want to talk to you about ways that you can reach $100,000 months, something that I've hit multiple times in 2023 and 2024, and what kind of a path you can take in order to achieve the income levels where you can switch from one model to another, and what are the pros and cons of going about certain things the way that you can go about them, right? So there is one very favorite path that is being promoted on social media by many influencers. It's pick a skill, pick a niche, sell the skill, make money. So this is a service-based approach. And the good side about this model is that it forces you to learn a skill, and learning a skill, if you're becoming an entrepreneur, is a consistent need for you to evolve as an entrepreneur. There are certain levels of the game are being unlocked when you attach a skill stack like sales, marketing, copywriting, delivery. And when you have a full life cycle of these, you can eventually build different products and services. The one path where I consistently see people try it out and fail is the creator path. And I think it's popularized the most by Danko. Shout out to the dude, he's nothing but amazing. But this is where I feel that his teaching is actually failing most of his students. And given that I've been in Cortex Mastermind, you see like the failure and success rate, talking just objectively, I am 100% certain that most people do not have a mental model suited to see how the sales are happening without getting the immediate feedback. It was not obvious to me until I started doing social media, and after thousands and thousands of tweets and repetition and pitches, that I've figured out like, okay, now this is a skill. It took a lot of repetition, and it's not a skill that you can learn on a data set that is inconsistent. So let's say you want to become a creator and you want to make some serious money that allows you to reach escape velocity. Escape velocity in this case would be making like $100,000 launch, because that would allow you a life for, like, I don't know, depending on your lifestyle, anywhere from 3 months to a year or 2 years. So that being said, I think if you wanted to go the solopreneur route, you have to become obsessed. And if you observe the path of most of the creators that are in the escape velocity, that they don't have to trade time for money, or that they are like just one launch and they are good for 3-4 months where they don't have to work, but they continuously are working. You know, like the amount of content that you need to curate or create in order for your social media campaign to bear fruit and for your propaganda to bear efforts, to bear fruit, like, it's ungodly. You know, I had creators that were a part of these groups that were coming to me and asking me, how do you do so much? How do you get to stay on top? I have an answer for them, given that was a question that I got multiple times. How do I get it all done? I hire people. That is what you need to understand when you enter into the game. If you don't have connections, labor, or capital at your disposal, the best thing you can do is focus on selling the service at a price where you can have a markup on somebody else's labor. That's precisely how I built my business. And a lot of people get stuck on the layer of, oh, I can't hire a person full time. That's $50,000 a year. Guess what? Like, I'm not gonna get into the numbers. That's my company secrets and trade secrets, but you can hire offshore. Like, that's the big secret. There's a lot of millionaires have been minted, And you don't even have to become like a millionaire. Even if you're clearing $500,000 reliably a year, you're going to be exceptionally well off. And even if you make that $500,000 with a 50% margin, which you can with the offshore arbitrage model, you're clearing $250,000. And with the expenses and tax deductions, etc., you're making as much as a doctor, right? Like people go to school for 12 years in order to become a doctor to make $500,000 a year that's taxed at 40% rate. It's like barely making $300,000. You can make that kind of money by starting your own agency. I'm just putting it out there. Not everyone is suited to create content and write articles on a daily basis. I've been writing 1,000 words a day for a year straight. It's fucking hard, right? Like you have easier models. I had easier years before I decided to start creating content. Maybe I just suck at it. Maybe I'm not the best creator. Maybe. And that is perfectly fine. I am okay with that. But as a non-native speaker, I'm fucking proud of what I've done. I am 100% proud of my ability to sit in front of a laptop and dish out 1,000 words in 35, 40 minutes. I have a sense of pride in that. But can everyone do it? No, it took me like another year just to get to a point where I can sit and write out 1,000 words. And I still, like, it's not the polished content. Like, but my Notion and Cortex, where I'm storing all my writing, they're blowing up with content that I need to refine and improve and get it out there. Like, do you see how much, like, I'm working more on my creator side of things and getting paid less because my leverage level is not as high, right? So let's talk about the leverage that you need to create. I mean, that's the most interesting part. The leverage that you can create as a creator comes from either increasing your audience size on social media, and this is where most creators fail. They build up audience that's full of fish and not the audience of buyers, and they can't monetize. Like, I haven't been selling on my Twitter timeline, I've been selling in my newsletter, so people have been used to me sending emails to them, and I have a nice size newsletter list, you know, like 1,500 people on the specifically on a newsletter of people that want to read my content. And if you want to read my content, briandecoded.com, I drop bangers every single time. That's like the whole philosophy of the newsletter, is to provide value, perspective for you, to establish a relationship, see if we can work together, potentially in the future, maybe not, doesn't matter. Like, but I will make sure that every time you open my email, it's damn worth your time, that there's something in it that could improve your life in some shape or form. That's kind of like when you're building an audience, it's a service, right? To the audience, and it's a free service, right? Like, you can sell and then you repel people. You have to see this audience building as a two-way street. You actually get to know these people, even though it's a parasocial relationship, right? But it takes a while. So in order to live off of a audience, my estimate is that you need to reach about solid 10,000 emails. If you're doing giveaways on Twitter, which is the cheapest way that you can acquire the audience, per giveaway, you will get about 100 newsletter subscribers if you get a good one. If you get a banger, like it really went viral, you can get 500, 600 emails, which means like in about 6 months of doing this for free, like you're hustling out who's gonna repost me and my giveaway. So you need to have a landing page, a sequencer, like a lot of tech goes into a giveaway. It's not as straightforward. That's why most of the creators that have an audience on a social media network, they haven't learned how to deplatform their emails. They get tanked. They can't make money because you can't sell on a timeline. You can sell in an email. And the email is also the platform that you utilize to bolster your growth on a new channel. Like I'm working on YouTube right now. I drop a video on YouTube, boom. I send the email to my newsletter and I get some initial viewers to kickstart the YouTube video that I just recorded. And I haven't been doing that because it requires coordination, and I'm also running an agency. So I'm doing two things at the same time, and it takes everything out of me. It's not easy. And when you're creating content, it requires you to be creative. So you cannot have this distraction of having an agency. So like, unless you're a beast like me, that I understand how I can attract with my content, how it's actually a lead generation effort for my business, that it's kind of like working hand in hand. So it's okay. And I'm at that point in business where majority of my operations allow me to go all in on content, because I only manage my team. I'm not the one doing the work. It's my employees. Want like 98% of the projects, if I'm touching them, I'm doing something wrong. That means that like my team is handling the most of it. That's why I can afford to shit post on Twitter, or I can afford to make this video on YouTube, because it's a substantial time and energy investment into your business. So long story short, like, how will you get to a point where you learn direct response marketing as a content creator, or learn how to sell, or learn how to KPI the benchmarks needed to sell, right? And the service is easier, because most services can be sold anywhere from $500 to $5,000. Anything, and in my book, everything under $10,000 one-time fee is a low ticket. As it might sound like crazy to most people, but agencies of my caliber routinely charge $50,000 plus for websites. And if someone thinks, oh my God, it's crazy, it's big, and blah, 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 just go to Clutch and see the reviews, not my reviews, of any agency that's advertising on Clutch. $50,000 to $150,000 projects, B2B, American companies, is normal, right? Don't think that like website costs $3,000 or $5,000. That's a cheapy website built on Upwork or Fiverr that doesn't bring value to the company. There's a reason why they're so cheap, because they're selling a website. If you're moving into becoming a service provider, you're not selling a website, you're selling a solution. And you have actual knowledge that people are willing to pay for, and you know how to communicate it when you hop on a sales call. That's how you build this value, because most of you are one sales call away from closing a $50,000 project. If you know how to do it, and how to communicate what is it that you can do, and then organizing people to actually do the job, right? Luckily, before I started out, I was a manager, digital marketing manager and SEO in a company that was clearing about $50 million a year. This is a substantial, medium-sized company. There was like 100 people in the company, 25 people marketing department, and like 70 people in sales, and a couple of more administrative people here and there. Like, that is the background from which I came from, and passing on all that knowledge over to my clients, it basically feels like I recreated the department that I was running in my company, which was like my skill level at a time, right? So what it takes to get to $10,000 per month, which is much easier on a service-based model than it is for an inexperienced person to generate on social media. Like, unless they're really good at YouTube, they can hold attention, and they can sell in their YouTube video. If you have those things aligned, then you could be selling. But like, do you have 1,000 YouTube subscribers? Like, it's something needed to get you to kick it off. You know, that I don't have 1,000 YouTube subscribers. Granted, like I've just been doing these low production videos that are decent, right? Because the topic of the video is interesting, but the leverage needed and the knowledge of social media needed for you to achieve escape velocity to quit your job as a creator is a brick wall. Like, you will not pass, as the Gandalf would say in Moria. Like, you shall not pass, boom. Like, you do not understand the ecosystem needed to earn income without doing any of the work, meaning you're selling courses. Selling courses is not easy. It may seem like it, but only if you know what you're doing. So I'll recreate Dan Koh's story as a point of reference. It was a massive point of reference for me when I was starting out selling courses. He had a $17 product, Websites That Work, and he sold about 100 pieces. He understood how to contact freelance influencers that would pitch his course, and he sold like 115 pieces in a span of a month with two influencers that had like 10, 15,000 followers, and knowing how to position his product on their timelines. So he knew how to write a sales copy. Writing a sales copy on a landing page is not fucking easy. It's not easy. It's one of the most difficult things you can do as a creative, because it requires you to know sales. And the reason why I was able to create a converting copy is because I was regurgitating the sales conversations that I had in my mind. I've held over 3,000 sales conversations. So when I'm selling something on a landing page, I intuitively write the objection handling from my organic sales process. Like, that took a long years to hold 3,000 sales conversations over a course of like 10 years is massive. Like, I remember when I started 2014, now we're in 2025, right? Like, it's a lot of sales conversations. Some of them become like intuitive things that you learn how to say just through the volume of the conversations that you've had. And like, when you look at my numbers, it's like everything was achieved on one sales call per day. I've sold probably over $3 million worth of services and fulfilled them, right? So the knowledge stack contained in me is a culmination of 10 years of improving myself, working on myself, right? So there's never like an overnight success. But the thing is, when I go back to the roots and the beginning of what I was doing, like, I remember selling like $3,000 website. Like, it wasn't e-commerce, it was a lot of work, but I held a job back then, and it was much easier selling a website and adding $3,000 to my revenue while I had a job, as opposed to spending a metric ton of effort into chatting with people on Twitter, spending all that time to network and find people that would repost me just so I get a little bit of traction for maybe making a sale. There's a lot of uncertainty and doubt in doing something new for the very first time to sell even a $17 course. It's a skill stack. You need to learn how to network. You need to learn how to create a landing page. You need to create the product. Most people are incompetent of creating a product, even with the AI. Even with the cheapy products showing up, and some creators are embarrassing themselves by putting up ChatGPT generated, AI generated courses. Like, that is how you hurt your brand in the long run. So in the creator model, it takes more work when you don't have any leverage. It takes more work to do than just flat out sell a service and do something for someone else, like build a website. And ironically, that is the course that was being sold, right, by someone who was actually building websites at a time. So I think this is like very, very intuitive, because quitting a job is 10x more important, but also is protecting your lifestyle. Like, I lived life in the last 12 years of me living in the United States. I had a lifestyle that most people can only fantasize about. Like, my lifestyle was a fantasy point for most people that know it more intimately. The amount of traveling that I've done, the amount of quality food I ate, the amount of gym, personal trainers, maids, home delivery food, like, everything was top notch. Like, that is something that I want for you. I want you to experience a good life. And I don't want you to wait for it and hope that your skills will hone in to a point where you can make 10K, 10K a month with 4 hours of work per day. The way you will reduce the amount of work is by hiring people. It will give you a skill set. If you know how to hire and if you know how to sell, that is all needed to set you free forever. That you will never be in the equation of labor ever again. And one sales call per day worked for me. It worked really fucking fine, and I still keep at it. And the good news is I don't have to hunt for new leads. I upsell my existing clients by a lot, and I can take a year off, and I took multiple years off while I was building this. Maybe that was a big mistake. Maybe I would have been much further in life, but you gotta live life sometimes. And with the agency model, and I'm like cross comparing it to the creator model, you can have $3,000 to $5,000 at the end of this January. Like, you can log on Upwork, create an account, and bang out like a couple of cover letters. You don't even have to have a website. If you have a skill that is needed on the open market, and someone is raising their hand, I need help with this. Like, you can. It is not impossible, especially with websites. There's like a metric ton of websites created every year. There's more websites than people on the planet, like by a substantial amount. Are all of them good websites? No, but the fact is that it's a needed skill, even if you're just a designer or you're just a web developer. And even with the AI, people cannot even operate AI. So it's not necessary to think like, oh, is this prohibitive? Is this AI thing gonna kill me or something? People need stuff that produces results. You providing services is the best way to learn the skills needed to run and operate a business. And there were instances, like the traditional model is build an agency, get the cash flow, reinvest the cash flow into a SaaS, liberate yourself, sell a SaaS, collect 10 mil, retire forever. And that's the model that I'm kind of following. But one thing that emerges as a need once you resolve the financial problems is you want to have a notoriety. You want people to know you. You want to be famous. That is like a higher echelon in the hierarchy of needs. It's a part of self-actualization. And for some men, and for myself, there is this need that I need to have notoriety, that I need to be recognized. And it came only after I've hit my $100,000 months. I was like, fuck, I got all the money in the world. I need people to know about me, and I need to tell my story. Like, what good is this if no one knows who the fuck you are? And that's why I went down this rabbit hole. It wasn't even about making money, while it will help making money by participating in the content creation game. But the more important thing is that labor got me to where I am today. And for most people, and I'm talking people that are mediocre, like average person, and I know that most of you, especially you guys watching for 24 minutes, me ranting and raving, I know that most of you aren't mediocre, but when I'm teaching something, I want to proclaim things that are possible. I am a guy from Serbia that came to the United States of America and winged it the whole time. If I've done it, and I'm not an average person, but if I've done it as an immigrant, an average person from the United States of America, if they apply consistency in acquiring customers, selling, fulfilling the service, getting referrals, they can build a flywheel engine, because in the age of the internet and providing good solutions to the problems that businesses have, you need to be extremely retarded to fail. And I mean extremely ridiculously retarded, especially if you're from the United States. The only thing is you gotta build some work habits, you gotta put in the work every day. I'm not saying that you need to work Hormozy style, 15-hour, 16-hour days, have 120-hour weeks, and hustle, 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 hustle. I'm not advocating for that. I'm not a hustle guy. I'm a one sales call per day guy, and build your skill set and let the skills that you build allow you to liberate yourself from hard work by either outsourcing the hard work and having someone else do it, which is preferable, or systematizing work in such a way where you're attracting the high quality clients to you and having extremely good retainers so you don't have to freak out about money. Money is the holdup. And if you believe that your limit is 100K a year and you're having a good salary and a good job, that's the limit that you will hit. And you're the one who's imposing these limitations. If you cannot accept that there are human beings out there like Elon Musk that are worth $500 billion, and if that doesn't spiral out your abundance creative outputs in your brain as to what is possible, I don't know what will. So stop thinking that $100,000 a year is crazy. Stop thinking that $100,000 a month is crazy. It should be normal for you because it doesn't take an extraordinary ability. It requires an ordinary ability repeated and hammered over time. You're compounding, right? And coming up with the ideas, and you're utilizing your creativity to create that leverage and hit that next level. That is what I want for you, to accept the fact that you are capable of doing things that I've achieved. And I, by no stretch of imagination, do I think that I am extraordinary in the achievements that I've made. Maybe top 1%, maybe in the United States, but that's not mission critical. Mission critical is that if you reach $20,000, $30,000 per month, and even if you have that on a 50% margin, means that you have like 15K clean for yourself, or like let's say 13, 12, 11, depending on your tax distribution, without having to go to the office and destroy your back by going to the office, by being exposed to the stress of driving to and back from work for an hour and a half or 3 hours per day or half an hour per day, depending how far your work is, and sitting at the computer for somebody else's benefit for 8 hours in a day. If I save you from that destiny, my mission is complete. Just like this is the whole purpose of this video. Like, I'm glad that you received this message and that you can think of yourself as a capable human being that can introduce discipline into his or her life so that you can grow further and more than your parents were ever able to. And why is this fucking possible? Because of the internet. The reason that is enabling this is because you can have thousands of conversations and hone in on your skills and create more leads and create more sales conversations and sell more in one phone call than most people earn in 3-4 months, right? You can close $30,000 deals in a call. I've done it. I've closed $100,000 deals in a call. It's not impossible. It's possible once you have an honest conversation with someone and you learn what the positioning is and how you can sell yourself and how you get the job that you promised that you would do, how you get it done without getting sued. That is the game. That is the game. And it's very simple. But people live and operate in fear. And my job here is to stop you from living in this said fear, because the fear is blocking your amygdala. Amygdala is triggered by the fear. And amygdala, when it's working, it's stopping your higher regions of the brain from operating. That is something that I need you to take home. Like, if you calm your mind, your pattern recognition capabilities expand. They blow the fuck up, and they let you see the world that you do not typically see. They let you see it. They let you see this world, these connections between the elements, between a human, between the technology, between the advertising network that's delivering a content piece into someone's brain. And you can approximate this other person's brain, and you can recalibrate and reposition your content or your messaging or your cold email or whatever that you're utilizing as a propaganda machine to acquire a client or make a sale. That is marketing. And you have to know it even on a grassroots level. Even if you're cold DMing, you need to understand how the word is being transferred into thought and how this thought is pushing out neurochemical reactions inside of somebody's brain. You have to conceptualize it, visualize it, and then you kind of know, because your mental model got an upgrade. So now you're very strategic about whom you're texting. You're very strategic about whom you're contacting. You're very strategic about the cold email list that you're generating if you're broke. You're very strategic about the money that you're spending if you're running Facebook ads or Google ads. You apply thinking process to your customer acquisition or your sales engine. And that's why I think for most people, it is imperative to start their own agency, because agency is giving you instant money. Done for you is always going to be paid more than done with you, which would be coaching. Or do it yourself will be paid the least amount of money because it's a course, right? The do it yourself modules are just a way for me to figure out who is a serious buyer and whom I should talk to. It's like a lead gen funnel for me when I'm selling a low ticket to someone. So that I know when I end up hopping on a call that I'm actually participating in a sales call with someone who opened up a credit card knowing that I can talk to a person that actually wants to spend money, which is the most important thing when you're trying to save time. Anyhow, you can start selling services, and if you're selling websites like I was, you can expect through the door with zero experience to be able to close a $3,000 deal. And it's best you do this while you are working, so that you're not panicking for money. I just see a lot of people quit your job. Quit your job sooner than later. Yes, absolutely. But get the skills of sales before you quit your job so you know how to survive when you get to a point where you want to survive. I was selling websites for 6 years before I unfettered. Granted, I could have done this much sooner, but I didn't have a safety net. I had to build my own safety net because I'm in another country and I didn't have friends and family to fall back on if shit took a crapper. And if things didn't go well, I had no other option. I had to sink or swim, or swim or sink. So this is probably the longest video I ever created, but it was a pleasure making it. And if it just impacts one person, it will be a great pleasure of mine. Hit like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, join my newsletter on briandecoded.com. I drop bangers once or twice a week, depending on how much time I have. But I will get more consistent with that, I promise. And thank you for watching. You guys are amazing. 34 minutes of listening to me. You're the man.